The galaxy is vast, filled with billions of stars, countless planets, and thousands of alien races. Some are peaceful, others are dangerous. But among them all, one name is spoken only in whispers. A species so feared, so deadly, that entire civilizations avoid even saying it out loud. They are not a legend, they are real. And when they appear, war fleets vanish, armies fall, and worlds are left in ruins. No one dares to enter their territory, not traders, not soldiers, not even the bravest explorers. Their planet is marked as a forbidden zone, a place where death itself seems to live. They are the hunters of hunters, the predators of predators, stronger than steel, faster than machines, and more ruthless than any weapon. To every alien in the galaxy, they are known by one simple truth: they cannot be stopped. But then, something strange happened, something that shook the galaxy to its core. Rumors began to spread, small at first, dismissed as lies, stories told in hidden bars, at the edge of space. Pilots whispered about it when no officers were listening. Aliens laughed at it, called it impossible. Yet the whispers grew louder. The deadliest beings in the galaxy were not killing humans. Even stranger, they were doing something unthinkable. Something no one could believe. They were bringing their young, their precious vulnerable cubs to humans. They would lay them gently at human feet. They would watch, and then vanish back into the dark. Why? Why would the deadliest predators alive trust humans with their future? The galaxy had no answer. Every other race had tried for centuries to tame or fight these creatures, and all had failed. The strongest warriors had been torn apart. Armies had been crushed like insects. Yet when a human soldier, farmer, or scientist stood before them, the monsters would lower their heads and leave their young behind. To the aliens, it was madness. To the humans, it was terror mixed with confusion. And to the predators themselves, it was something more, but no one understood it yet. One soldier stationed on a lonely human outpost near the beast's territory would soon face the truth himself. His name was Captain Elias Ward. He had heard the stories, of course. Everyone had. The beasts were the nightmare of the galaxy. His orders were simple: protect the colony, watch the border, and pray the monsters never came. But fate had other plans. It was a quiet night, the stars burning cold above the colony walls. The desert winds whispered, carrying strange sounds from the mountains beyond. Most of the soldiers were asleep, except for Captain Ward, who stood watch alone. He had felt uneasy all day, as if something heavy pressed down on his chest. Then, he heard it, a low growl, deep and powerful, rolling across the night air. Every hair on his body stood up. His training told him to call for reinforcements to sound the alarm, but his instincts froze him in place. From the darkness, a shape emerged, massive, towering. Its glowing eyes burned like fire. The beast stepped forward, each footfall shaking the ground. Its claws were long as blades, its teeth sharp enough to cut steel. Ward knew instantly what it was: the nightmare of the galaxy, the killer of worlds, and it was walking straight toward him. Ward raised his weapon, though he knew it was useless. No human weapon had ever stopped such a creature. His breath came fast, sweat running down his neck. He whispered a prayer he hadn't said in years. The beast stopped a few feet away. For a long moment it simply stared at him, its eyes locked on his, and Ward felt smaller than he had ever felt in his life. Then slowly, it lowered its head. Only then did Ward see what it carried. In its massive jaws was something small, fragile. It looked like a cub, a younger version of the beast itself. The creature stepped forward and, to Ward's shock, laid the cub gently at his feet. Ward's hands shook. His weapon slipped from his grasp. The cub whimpered, curling into the dirt. The great beast looked at Ward one last time. Its eyes, glowing and endless, seemed to ask a question without words. Then, without a sound, it turned and disappeared into the night. Ward stood frozen. His heart thundered in his chest. Around him, the desert was silent again. At his feet, the deadliest creature in the galaxy had left him something more dangerous than any weapon. Its child. And in that moment, Ward realized the whispers were true. The most feared beings in the galaxy trusted only humans with their young. But no one yet understood the reason why. Captain Elias Ward did not move for several minutes. His weapon lay forgotten in the sand. His heart beat so loud that it drowned out the night sounds. At his feet, the small cub shivered, its golden eyes glowing faintly in the starlight. Ward had fought battles before. He had seen comrades fall. But nothing had prepared him for this. A predator larger than any tank had walked into the human colony, looked him in the eye, and then trusted him with the one thing all creatures protect most: their child. The silence was broken. By footsteps, 2 guards rushed toward him, weapons raised, voices panicked. "Captain, we heard something." They stopped when they saw it. The cub. Its fur was black and silver, bristling as it gave a small growl. One of the guards gasped. "By the stars, is that what I think it is?" Ward nodded slowly, still staring at the little creature. "It's one of them." The guards backed away in fear. "We need to kill it before the mother comes back, sir. You know what they are. They'll tear us all apart." Ward shook his head. "No. If the mother wanted us dead, we'd already be dead. She left it here. She wanted us to take it." The guards exchanged terrified looks. No one argued further. No one wanted to wake the monster again. Inside the colony, alarms soon blared. Soldiers gathered, scientists whispered, civilians peered from windows. Everyone stared at the cub as Ward carried it in his arms, wrapped in his cloak. The young predator hissed softly but did not fight him. Dr. Leon, the colony's chief biologist, hurried forward. Her eyes widened when she saw the cub. "Do you understand what this means? No other species in the galaxy has ever seen one alive. They kill anyone who comes close, and yet it let you touch it." "It didn't let me," Ward replied. "It wanted me to." The room filled with whispers. Fear and confusion spread like fire. Why would a monster, feared across star systems, hand over its child to a human soldier? Days passed, and the cub remained in the colony. At first, soldiers kept their weapons ready, certain the beast would return to slaughter them all. But nothing happened. Night after night, the humans waited. And each night, glowing eyes were seen in the mountains watching. The great predator was still there, silent, patient, guarding from the shadows. The cub grew calmer. It began to eat the food given to it, not meat, but soft rations prepared by Dr. Leon. To everyone's shock, it allowed Ward to approach without growling. Soon it even followed him, small claws clicking on the floor. The colonists began to whisper a new word: trust. But not everyone believed this was a gift. Many feared it was a trap. Commander Harlan, leader of the outpost, called Ward into his office. "This is dangerous," Harlan said. His face was grim, voice sharp. "You know what these creatures are. They wiped out 3 alien fleets in less than an hour. Entire planets burned because of them. And now you're keeping one inside our walls? You're risking all our lives." Ward stood tall. "With respect, sir. If they wanted us dead, we'd already be ash. That beast didn't leave the cub here as a threat. It trusted us, I don't know why. But killing it would be the real mistake." Harlan slammed a fist on the desk. "You think we can raise this thing like a pet? What happens when it grows? What happens when its kind realize we're holding their young hostage?" Ward's voice was steady. "We're not holding it, we're protecting it." The commander stared at him for a long time. Finally, he sighed. "Very well. But if this backfires, Ward, the blood will be on your hands." That night, Ward could not sleep. He walked outside the walls toward the desert edge, where the mountains loomed like black teeth. He felt the eyes before he saw them, 2 golden flames burning in the dark. The great beast was there, watching. Ward raised his hand slowly, showing he carried no weapon. His voice was low, trembling but honest. "I don't know why you chose me. I don't know why you trust us. But I'll protect your young. I swear it." The eyes blinked. Then, the massive shadow turned and vanished into the night once more. Ward felt a chill. The galaxy would never believe this story. But he knew the truth now. The deadliest predators alive were watching, and they had chosen humanity to guard their future. What no one knew, what no one could even imagine, was that this fragile trust would soon be tested by enemies far worse than the beasts themselves. The colony changed after the cub arrived. At first, fear ruled every corner. Soldiers slept with weapons in their hands, scientists argued about what to do, and civilians whispered that doom was near. No one trusted the silence beyond the walls, for everyone knew the mother beast was still out there watching, and yet, nothing happened. Days turned into weeks, and the cub lived peacefully among the humans. It followed Captain Ward most of all. Wherever he went, the small creature padded after him on silent claws. At night, it curled beside his bunk like a loyal dog. At first, Ward could not sleep, expecting fangs at his throat. But the cub never attacked. It only slept soundly, its chest rising and falling with soft growls that almost sounded like purrs. Children in the colony began to peek through windows, curious rather than afraid. One brave boy threw a ball toward the cub. To everyone's shock, the predator chased it, clumsy and playful. The boy laughed, and the cub gave a strange sound, half growl, half chirp, that made even the soldiers smile. Trust was growing, though it was fragile as glass. Not all were convinced. Commander Harlan still kept guards posted around the cub's living quarters. Many whispered that Ward was blinded, that the beast was only waiting to grow strong before killing them all. Others feared the mother would one day return and see humans as thieves instead of guardians. Dr. Leon studied the cub day and night. "It is extraordinary," she said during a briefing. "These creatures are perfect hunters. Every muscle is designed for speed, every tooth for killing. Yet it shows restraint. Around humans, it is calm. Why?" Ward answered simply, "Because it wants to be here." Outside the colony, the galaxy was beginning to notice. A trader ship spread the tale after passing through the region. Humans were raising the young of the deadliest species alive. The story flew from system to system, carried by rumor and fear. Alien governments held secret meetings. Some argued that humanity was insane, playing with fire that could burn entire worlds. Others believed it was worse, that humans had somehow tamed the monsters and now controlled them. Fear grew sharper, more dangerous. A broadcast from the Zorathi Empire declared, "Humanity is reckless. They cannot be allowed to keep such a creature. If they breed them, if they turn these predators into weapons, no species in the galaxy will survive." Back in the colony, Ward tried not to think of galactic politics. He focused on the cub, which he now called Ash for the color of its silver-black fur. One evening, Ash wandered too close to the colony walls. The guards panicked, raising their rifles. Ward rushed to stop them. "Hold your fire," he shouted. "It's only curious." But then, from the mountains came the sound that froze every heart, a deep roar echoing across the desert. The mother. The walls trembled as the massive beast appeared on the ridge, her glowing eyes fixed on the colony. Soldiers screamed, weapons aimed. The air grew heavy, thick with terror. Ash gave a small cry, a high-pitched sound unlike any roar. The mother tilted her head, then fell silent. Her gaze lingered on Ward, who stood beside the cub, arms out, showing no weapon. For a moment, time stopped. Then the great beast turned and disappeared once more into the shadows. No attack. No blood. Only silence. The soldiers lowered their rifles, hands shaking. Commander Harlan muttered, "Why doesn't it kill us? Why does it keep letting us live?" Ward whispered back, "Because it knows we are protecting its young." The fragile trust deepened after that night. More colonists began to accept Ash's presence. Children laughed when it played, soldiers grew less tense, and even the commander began to soften, though he never admitted it. But tension grew elsewhere. Strange signals were intercepted, alien fleets moving closer, spies asking questions. Humanity's fragile alliance with the deadliest predators had not gone unnoticed, and fear was turning into hostility. Dr. Leon warned, the galaxy won't sit quietly. They see this as a threat. They fear what might happen if these creatures truly join with us. Ward nodded. He knew she was right. But as he looked at Ash, curled at his feet and purring like a giant cat, he also knew something else. This trust was not an accident, it was a choice. The beasts had chosen humanity, and one day the galaxy would be forced to understand why. But before that day, a storm was coming. Enemies were preparing to strike, and soon, humanity would have to prove that their bond with the deadliest species alive was more than fragile trust. It was unbreakable. The colony had changed forever since the night the mother beast left her cub in Captain Ward's care. Weeks had passed, and what began as fear had turned into a strange kind of calm. Ash, the cub, was no longer just a monster in the eyes of the colonists. To the children, it was a playmate. To the soldiers, it was a test of patience. To Ward, it was something deeper, a living symbol of trust. But the galaxy outside was restless. Rumors spread faster than light, and soon every alien empire was whispering about the humans who held the monsters young. Fear was growing. And fear, Ward knew, always led to danger. Inside the colony, Dr. Leon was obsessed. She had studied Ash day and night, recording every growl, every pattern of behavior, every moment of contact between cub and human. Yet the mystery only deepened. One evening, she called Ward to the research dome. Her eyes burned with excitement, though her voice was cautious. "Elias," she said, using his first name for once. "I've found something old, and something terrifying." She placed a hollow projector on the table. A grainy image appeared, alien symbols carved into stone walls weathered and broken. "These are records from the ruins of the Veyron Empire," she explained. "An empire destroyed nearly 400 years ago, by them." Ward frowned. "The beasts?" "Yes," she nodded. "The Veyron archives say entire fleets were torn apart in hours. Cities burned. Millions died. They called these creatures the Deathborn. They feared them as demons sent by the void itself." Ward crossed his arms. "That's nothing new. Everyone knows they've destroyed whole empires." Leon leaned closer, her voice dropping. "Yes. But there's something else." At the very end of the records, in the ruins of their capital, I found a second account. Not written by the Veyrons, but by a survivor. A human. Ward froze. "A human?" "Yes. A merchant ship had been there when the Empire fell. They should have died like the rest. But the record says the beasts stopped their slaughter. They circled the human ship, looked upon it, and then turned away. They did not attack." Ward's pulse quickened. "Why?" Dr. Leon's eyes gleamed. "That's the question. Every alien race the beasts encountered, they destroyed. Every world, they crushed. But humanity, they spared. This was centuries ago, before Earth even left its solar system. And now, centuries later, they bring their young to us, don't you see? This isn't random. They've been watching us. They've been choosing us." Ward felt a chill crawl up his spine. The idea was too large, too heavy. "You're saying this trust goes back centuries?" Leon nodded. "Yes, something about humanity, something no other race has, makes them pause, makes them believe." The truth spread quickly through the colony. Soldiers whispered about the forgotten history. Civilians repeated the words in fear and awe. The Deathborn spared humanity once before. Commander Harlan, however, was not impressed. "This only makes it worse," he told Ward. "If they chose us centuries ago, it means they've been watching us all along. And if they've been watching, then the whole galaxy will think we're allies now. Do you realize what that means? War. Every empire that fears these monsters will see us as their protectors," Ward replied calmly, though the weight in his chest was heavy. "Maybe that's what we are." That night, Ward walked beyond the colony walls again. The desert was quiet, but he knew he was not alone. The glowing eyes appeared, far away but burning like twin stars. The mother beast. He spoke softly, not knowing if she understood but feeling the need to try. Why us? Why not the others? Why do you trust humans? The eyes blinked slowly. Then the massive shape stepped forward, not close enough to threaten, but close enough to be seen clearly in the starlight. For the first time, Ward saw scars across its body, deep wounds, long healed. Marks of battles fought long ago. The beast lowered its head slightly, and for one breathless moment Ward thought it might speak. But no words came, only silence, heavy and knowing, and then it turned and disappeared again into the dark. Ward understood, nothing, yet he felt something in his bones. This bond was older than him, older than the colony, older even than humanity's journey to the stars. Something in their nature had been recognized by the deadliest species alive. But while Ward searched for answers, the galaxy was searching for war. Far away, the Zarathi Empire gathered its fleets. In their council chamber, leaders shouted over one another. If humans and Deathborn join forces, one alien growled, no empire will survive. We must act now. We must strike the humans before the beasts grow stronger beside them. Another added, we will take the cubs. If we control them, the galaxy will fear us. And so plans were made. While humans nurtured trust and the cub grew stronger, enemies prepared to test that trust with fire and blood. For Captain Ward, the fragile peace was ending. Soon, the hidden reason would no longer be a mystery whispered in ruins. It would become a weapon, sharpened by fear, and humanity would be forced to prove why the deadliest beings in the galaxy had chosen them, and them alone. The colony slept in uneasy silence. The desert winds howled outside the walls, carrying with them the faint roars of distant mountains. But within the human outpost, life moved on. Children played with Ash, the cub, now stronger and larger, its silver-black fur shining in the light. Soldiers still kept their distance, but their fear had dulled. Captain Ward felt the change most of all. The cub no longer trembled when humans touched it. It no longer snarled at every sound. Instead, it rested calmly at his side, eyes glowing softly, as if watching over him. What began as fragile trust was slowly becoming something greater, something that looked like loyalty. But far beyond the colony and the cold halls of alien empires, trust was not the word on anyone's lips. The word was fear. On the warship Vorath's Claw, the Zarathi Council gathered. Their insectoid forms clicked with rage, mandibles snapping as they studied the images sent by spies. A general slammed his claw on the table. The humans are raising it. The death-born cub follows them like a tame beast. This cannot be allowed. If they train them, if they breed them, they will command an army of nightmares. Another hissed. Then we will take the cubs for ourselves. If the Deathborn trust humans, perhaps we can break that trust with fire. Imagine our empire controlling the deadliest species in existence. The council agreed. The decision was made. A fleet would be sent, not to destroy, but to steal. They would capture the cubs, crush the human colony, and prove to the galaxy that no trust could stand against power. Back on the outpost, Ward sensed the change before anyone else. Patrols reported strange readings at the edge of human space. Ships, moving quietly as though hiding in the dark. Dr. Leon studied the signals with narrowed eyes. It's not trade traffic, she said. It's military, someone is coming. Commander Harlan cursed under his breath. So it begins. I told you the galaxy wouldn't sit quietly. He looked at Ward, his eyes hard. You wanted to protect that cub. Now the enemy will come for it. And they'll kill us all to take it. Ward's voice was firm, steady. Then we fight. We swore to protect it. That promise doesn't end when danger comes knocking. Harlan shook his head. You're too attached. It's not human. It's not even an ally. It's a predator that should have killed us all. And now the galaxy wants blood because of it. Ward looked down at Ash, who pressed against his leg with a low, almost protective growl. His hand rested on its head. Maybe it's not human, but it trusted us first. That means something, and I'll die before I break that trust. The warning came sooner than expected. One night, alarms blared across the colony. Sirens wailed, lights flashed red, and the ground shook as engines thundered above. Alien dropships pierced the atmosphere, dark silhouettes blotting out the stars. Enemy. Fleet incoming, shouted a soldier over the comms. Zorathi forces, dozens of ships heading straight for us. Panic erupted. Civilians rushed into shelters. Soldiers scrambled to defensive positions. The colony was small, its weapons few. Against a fleet, they stood no chance. But Ward didn't think of the fleet. His first thought was Ash. The cub growled as the air trembled with the sound of descending war machines. Ward knelt beside it. Stay close to me, no matter what happens. Ash's golden eyes burned with a strange fire, as if it understood. The first blast hit the outer walls, shaking the ground, like an earthquake. Explosions lit the night sky as alien soldiers poured from their dropships, tall insectoid creatures with blades for arms and plasma rifles in hand. The humans fought back desperately. Gunfire filled the air, shouts echoed, and smoke spread across the colony streets. But the enemy was relentless. For every alien that fell, 3 more pressed forward. Dr. Leon ducked behind cover, shouting into her comms. They're targeting the research dome. They want the cub. Ward's blood ran cold. It was true. The invaders weren't there to wipe out the colony. They were there to take Ash. He grabbed his rifle and fired into the swarm, forcing them back step by step. Over my dead body, he growled. Hours felt like minutes. The colony burned, its defenses collapsing. Yet the humans fought on, refusing to abandon their promise. Ward led his squad through fire and smoke, Ash at their side, snarling with growing power. The cub was no longer helpless, it fought too, clawing and tearing into invaders who dared come near. But the enemy pressed closer, overwhelming them. Ward's unit fell back to the central square, bodies and wreckage all around. The colony was breaking. Commander Harlan shouted, "We can't hold them. We need to evacuate." Ward shook his head. If we run, they'll take Ash, and if they take him, the galaxy is finished. Above them, the Zorathi mothership loomed, engines glowing, like suns. The enemy commander's voice thundered through loudspeakers. Humans, surrender the cub and we may spare your lives. Resist and you will all perish. The soldiers looked toward, fear in their eyes. Civilians wept in the shelters. The future balanced on a knife's edge. Ward raised his weapon, standing tall, despite the fire and smoke. "We don't surrender," he said. "Not today. Not ever." And Ash stood beside him, golden eyes blazing, growling a sound that echoed like thunder. The fragile trust was about to be tested in fire and blood. The colony was burning. Smoke rose into the night sky, mixing with the red glow of plasma fire. Walls that had stood for years were now rubble, and the streets were filled with the sound of screams, gunfire, and the clashing of steel against steel. The Zorathi forces pushed forward without mercy, their insectoid forms moving like an unstoppable tide. Captain Elias Ward stood in the center square with Ash at his side. His armor was scorched, his rifle nearly empty, but his spirit did not waver. Around him soldiers bled, civilians wept, and the colony itself crumbled. Yet Ward knew one truth above all others. They could not surrender the cub. The enemy commander's voice thundered again through the loudspeakers. "Humans, lay down your weapons. Give us the Deathborn cub, and we may spare what remains of your colony." Ward spat into the dust. His voice rang out, hoarse but strong. "We don't give up. Our own, not ever." The soldiers around him, exhausted and terrified, lifted their weapons once more. Some were trembling, some were crying, but none stepped aside. The battle raged. Plasma blasts tore through buildings, alien blades cut down defenders, and still, the humans stood in front of the cub. Ash roared, no longer a helpless creature but a young predator growing stronger by the day. Its claws slashed through armored invaders, its teeth sank deep, and for the first time the Zorathi hesitated. "They fight with the cub," one shouted. "They defended as if it were theirs." Ward fought like a man possessed. Every time Ash was threatened, he threw himself in front, blocking fire with his own body, dragging the cub to safety. Bullets tore into his armor. Burns scarred his skin, but he would not stop. The humans formed a shield around Ash, protecting it with their lives. Some fell, screaming, but even as they died, they used their last breath to keep the cub safe. High above, in the mountains, golden eyes opened. The mother beast watched from the shadows, her massive form hidden against the rock. She had been waiting, silent, testing. Would the humans protect her child? Would they keep their promise when faced with fire and blood? Now she saw the answer. They bled, they died, and still they guarded what was not even their own. Her growl shook the mountains. Back in the colony, the humans were being pushed to the brink. Commander Harlan shouted over the comms, his voice filled with desperation. "We can't hold much longer. They'll overrun us in minutes." Ward fired his last rounds, then drew his blade. He stood in front of Ash, breathing hard. "If this is the end," he whispered, "then we end it standing." Ash pressed against him, its glowing eyes burning with fury and something more, something that looked like understanding. The Zorathi commander raised his claw, signaling the final charge. Hundreds of soldiers stormed forward, weapons raised, screams filling the air. Ward gritted his teeth, ready to meet death head-on. Then the ground shook. From the mountains, a roar exploded, a sound so deep, so powerful, that every soldier froze where they stood. The very air seemed to tremble. Out of the darkness came the mother beast. Her form was massive, towering, her eyes blazing like suns. Each step cracked stone, each breath thundered like a storm. The Zorathi turned their weapons toward her, but it was already too late. She struck like lightning. Claws ripped through armor, teeth crushed war machines, and her tail swept dozens aside in a single blow. Plasma fire scorched her body, but she fought on, unstoppable. Other shadows moved behind her, more deathborn. Massive predators emerging from the night, drawn by the cries of their young. The battlefield turned into a massacre. The humans, stunned, fell back, shielding civilians while the beasts tore through the invaders. Ward stood frozen, Ash at his side as he watched the monsters the galaxy feared annihilate an entire fleet in minutes. And yet, not a single claw turned against a human. Not one. The Deathborn fought beside them, as if the humans were part of their own pack. The Zorathi commander screamed into his comms, "Retreat! Retreat now!" But his words were useless. His forces were already being shredded, their dropships torn apart before they could escape. Within an hour, the battle was over. The colony still burned, but the enemy was gone, erased from the field of war. Silence fell, broken only by the crackle of fire and the groans of the wounded. The mother beast stepped into the square, her massive form looming over the survivors. Humans trembled, some falling to their knees in fear. Ward stood firm, though his body shook from exhaustion. Ash ran to its mother, nuzzling against her. She lowered her head, rumbling softly before turning her glowing eyes on Ward. For a moment, no one breathed. Then slowly, the beast lowered her head further, not in attack, not in threat, but in something that looked like respect. Ward felt his chest tighten. He understood now. This was the test. The Deathborn had wanted to know if humans were worthy, if they would fight, bleed, and die for a child that was not their own, and the humans had passed. That night, as the colony tended to its wounded, Dr. Leon whispered to Ward, "Do you realize what just happened? The most feared species in the galaxy stood with us. They accepted us." Ward looked at Ash, who rested peacefully by the fire, then at the glowing eyes in the mountains, watching but no longer distant. "Yes," Ward said softly, "and the galaxy will never be the same." The colony was silent after the battle. Fires smoldered in the ruins, smoke curled into the night sky, and the ground was littered with the remains of the Zorathi invaders. Yet despite the destruction, the humans were alive. Against all odds, they had endured. But they knew the truth. It was not their weapons that had saved them. It was the Deathborn. The beasts had come from the mountains like storms of living fury. They had ripped apart fleets, shattered armored troops, and burned fear into the hearts of their enemies. But they had not touched the humans. Not one soldier, not one civilian had fallen to their claws. Instead, the monsters had fought for them. At dawn, the mother beast returned. Her massive shadow fell across the broken colony as she stepped into the square. The ground shook with her weight, but no, weapons were raised. The humans had seen enough to know this was no enemy. Ash ran to her side, nuzzling against her leg, but then turned back toward Captain Ward. The cub's golden eyes seemed torn between two worlds, its own kind and the humans who had protected. Yet Ward stood firm as the mother beast lowered her head until her glowing eyes met his. For a long moment they stared at one another. In her gaze he saw something deeper than instinct. He saw recognition, respect, trust. The beast gave a low rumble, almost gentle. Then she stepped back and raised her head to the sky, unleashing a roar so powerful that it echoed across the desert for miles. From the mountains, other Deathborn answered. The sound rolled through the air like thunder, shaking stone and soul alike. It was not a cry of war. It was a declaration. The Deathborn had chosen. In the days that followed, the colony rebuilt. Soldiers patched the walls, engineers restored power, and civilians buried their dead. But they no longer lived in fear. Whenever night fell, glowing, eyes could be seen in the mountains. The predators watched, silent guardians in the dark. Dr. Leon spoke what many were beginning to realize. They are not keeping us alive by accident. This is a bond, a decision. We are part of their future now. Commander Harlan, once the loudest voice of doubt, said nothing. He had seen the beasts fight beside his soldiers, had watched them spare his people. In the end, even he could not deny the truth. Ward stayed close to Ash, who grew stronger each day. The cub no longer seemed out of place among the colony. It played with the children, stood beside the soldiers, and often pressed against Ward's leg as though claiming him as family. For Ward it was no longer strange. Ash was not a burden. It was a promise. But beyond the colony, the galaxy trembled. News spread quickly of the battle. How a human outpost had survived against a Zorathi fleet because the Deathborn had fought with them. Entire systems shook with fear. If humans and Deathborn were truly allies, no empire was safe. Alien councils screamed for war. Others begged for peace. Some called humanity a threat worse than the beasts themselves. But no matter the debate, one truth had been written in fire and blood. The deadliest species alive had chosen humanity, and the galaxy would never forget it. Weeks later, a message came from Earth. High Command demanded an explanation. Ward was summoned before a council of human leaders, his words broadcast across the stars. He stood tall, his armor scarred, his voice steady. "They are not our enemies," he said. "They are not our weapons. They are something greater. They trusted us when no one else would, and when the galaxy turned against us, they fought beside us. That trust is sealed in blood. We cannot turn away from it now." For a long time, the council was silent. Then, one by one, the leaders nodded. Humanity had faced many trials, but this was unlike anything before. An alliance not written in treaties, not signed in ink, but carved into history with sacrifice. Back at the colony, Ward returned to the square. The mother beast waited, Ash by her side. He walked forward slowly, feeling the weight of countless eyes, both human and Deathborn, watching. The mother lowered her head again, and this time, Ward did the same. For one heartbeat, man and monster stood as equals. The bond was sealed, Omdawi. That day forward, the humans were no longer seen as weak by the galaxy. They were no longer just another race of settlers, soldiers, and traders. They were something more. They were the ones the Deathborn trusted. And in the endless darkness of space, where empires fought and civilizations fell, That trust made them stronger than anyone could have imagined. The legend spread across the stars. They are the deadliest in the galaxy, but they entrust their future only to humans. And so began a new chapter in galactic history, one where humanity and the Deathborn stood side by side, guardians of each other's young, protectors of each other's future. Together they were unstoppable,